The forbidden lab discovery. The room was silent except for the soft hum of machines. Dr. Virel stood inside Sector 12, deep within the Galactic genetics lab, located on a space station that floated above a dead moon. Her blue skin shimmered under the white lab lights. She adjusted her long black coat and stared at the screen in front of her. Her long fingers moved quickly across the glowing panel. Test results were coming in. Species 99982, human male, subject H9. She raised a brow. Humans were not part of her project. This was a mistake. The experiment was supposed to test hybrid fertility reactions among the 6 most stable alien species. But somehow, this human male had been added to the samples. Virel was about to delete the data until something strange happened. The screen blinked, then blinked again. She frowned. Error. Fertility rate exceeds maximum chart range. Her lips parted in surprise. She tapped the screen. The data showed insane numbers. Rapid DNA cell division, near-perfect reproductive health, adaptive hormone balance, even under alien conditions. No, that's not possible, she whispered. She rechecked the file. Test subject H9, age 32, planet Earth, status contained. She blinked in disbelief. How is this creature this fertile? She muttered. She pulled up fertility comparison charts across over 500 alien species. None matched the humans' numbers. In fact, most species showed decay under stress tests, but the human cells thrived. They even began reacting positively to Xelari hormones, the ones from Virel's own species. That had never happened before. Virel stood back, staring at the hologram of the human cell structure. She couldn't look away. Hours later, she entered Containment Wing 3. Guards in silver armor stood on both sides of a large bioglass chamber. Inside, a human male lay on a padded bed, unconscious, connected to monitoring tubes. His chest rose and fell slowly. Virel walked in. "Wake him," she said. The lead technician blinked. "Doctor, the subject hasn't regained consciousness since he was collected. Stimulate his neural zone, now." A red beam pulsed through the glass. The man stirred, then coughed. His eyes opened slowly, brown, alert, and confused. He looked around at the strange faces, the alien technology, the glowing walls. "Where am I?" he whispered. Virel stepped forward. "You're in the Intergalactic Genetic Research Facility." His eyes locked onto hers. He looked scared. She didn't care. "Subject H9, she began, her voice calm. "You were taken from a damaged human freighter 3 cycles ago. Your body has shown unusual results." He sat up slowly. "You kidnapped me? You were dying. We saved you." "I didn't ask to be saved." "You should be grateful," she said coldly. "Do you know what your body is doing?" The man didn't respond. Virel turned to the technician. "Begin emotional simulation test, low intensity." Suddenly, a soft mist filled the chamber. The man's skin flushed slightly. His heart rate increased. The machines blinked rapidly. Virel watched as the fertility marker spiked again, even higher than before. She took a step back. This wasn't just rare, this was impossible. "Turn it off," she said quickly. The mist vanished. The man fell back. On the bed, confused and weak, Virel walked out of the room, heart racing for the first time in decades. She had studied biology her whole life. She had mapped over 200 alien genomes. She had published work that earned her the respect of 3 empires, but she had never seen this. This human, this simple male, was more fertile, more adaptive, and more powerful in reproduction than anything in the galaxy. She returned to her private lab, alone. She sat down, shaking slightly. "If this becomes public," she whispered, "humans won't be ignored anymore. They'll be hunted or harvested." She looked again at the glowing results. He's not just rare. He's dangerous. And yet, she didn't want to destroy him. Something in her chest, an emotion she had no word for, was pulling her toward this mystery. Not as a scientist, not as a Xelari, but something else. Virel turned off the lab lights. She looked out the window into the stars. And for the first time in her long, calculated life, she felt curious and afraid. Subject H9 wakes up. The ceiling was glowing, but it wasn't the sky. Eli opened his eyes slowly, his vision blurry, his mind clouded. The light above him pulsed with a soft alien blue. He wasn't in a hospital. He wasn't even on Earth. Everything felt wrong. The air smelled sharp and sterile. The bed beneath him was too smooth, his arms heavy. Tubes ran from his skin into glowing machines. He tried to sit up. Pain shot through his side. Eli gritted his teeth and looked around. Clear walls, floating screens, strange symbols. And outside the glass chamber, them. Tall beings, thin limbs, long faces, skin like silver smoke aliens. His heart pounded. Where am I? He muttered, voice weak. He didn't expect an answer, but one came. A soft female voice, clear and cold. You are in Galactic Genetics Lab, Containment Wing 3. You are being studied. Eli turned. A tall alien woman stood near the glass, her glowing blue eyes fixed on him. Her posture was calm like a statue, but her expression was unreadable. He blinked at her. You're not serious. I am Dr. Virel. You are Subject H9. That's not my name, he said, sitting up slowly. It's Eli. Eli Carter. I'm a cargo pilot, not a subject. She walked closer. You were found half dead in a crash. We saved your body. Now we study it. Eli frowned. Why? She pressed a button on her panel. The chamber lights dimmed. A hologram appeared, his DNA strand, glowing and spinning. You are not normal, Virel said. Your reproductive system is unlike anything we've seen. You adapt, you heal. Your cells multiply fast, even under alien conditions. Eli blinked. What? You're studying my fertility? Yes, she replied without shame. And the results are alarming. He laughed weakly. You kidnapped me to find out how fast I can make babies? Virel didn't laugh. This isn't a joke, human. Your biology breaks galactic norms. Your presence here has already raised concern in the council. Eli stood slowly. His legs were shaky but strong enough to hold him. Then let me go. I'm not interested in being your test tube. She raised a brow. You don't understand. You may be a threat. Your kind may all be. Or maybe I'm just different, he said. She paused. Her eyes scanned him. Then she said something Eli didn't expect. You make me feel different too. Eli looked at her closely. What does that mean? Virel stepped back slightly. She looked confused, like even she didn't understand her own words. She turned away. Emotional reaction is irrelevant. Doesn't sound irrelevant, Eli said softly. But before she could respond, the alarm rang. Red lights flashed. Doors sealed shut. A robotic voice echoed through the facility. Emergency. Subject readings unstable. Hormonal flux detected in Containment 3. Virel's screen blinked. Her eyes widened. Eli's readings were rising fast. Again. But this time, it wasn't just him. Her own bioscanner was reacting too. Heart rate elevated. Body temperature rising. Neural pattern shifting. She touched her neck. It was warm. Warmer than a Xelari body should ever be. No one in the lab had touched her in years. Her species didn't feel warmth like humans, but somehow standing near Eli, her system reacted. She turned sharply and tapped the controls. You need to be sedated. Eli stepped back. No, I'm not letting you drug me again. I don't have a choice. Eli looked at her seriously. Then choose. She froze. For the first time she hesitated. In the silence, their eyes locked. Two beings from different worlds. One confused and trapped, the other brilliant, but now changing. Suddenly the wall panel buzzed. Dr. Virel, the council is requesting termination. Subject H9's readings are outside acceptable range. Termination order in 2 hours. She stared at the message, then at him. 2 hours, she whispered. Eli stepped closer to the glass. You going to kill me? Virel didn't answer, but something inside her said no. Something that wasn't science. What makes him so different? Virel locked her lab door. For the first time in years, her hands were shaking. She stared at the screen, her blue fingers hovering above the console. She had rewired alien hearts, cloned extinct creatures, and even helped grow a starworm embryo from scratch. But nothing in her life had prepared her for him. Subject H9, the human, Eli Carter. He was supposed to be just another scan, another number in a long list of species compared for reproductive compatibility, but he wasn't. He was something new, something terrifying. The computer finished running the latest test. The numbers flashed across her screen like a warning. Fertility index, 1729%. System breach. Cross-species. Compatibility, unlocked. Mutation potential, high. Virel's eyes narrowed. She whispered to herself, this is beyond anomaly. It's evolution. She pulled up a simulation. It showed Eli's DNA interacting with dozens of alien samples, from desert-born Xelari to aquatic Xenth. Every time his cells adapted, blended, and thrived. No rejection. No breakdown. The system labeled him Universal Breeder Class, Code Black. She leaned back in her chair. Humans were considered primitive in the Galactic charts, emotional, violent, weak in technology. But no one knew this. They weren't just survivors, they were builders, spreaders, creators, and Eli wasn't even trying. Meanwhile, Eli sat alone in his containment room. The lights had been dimmed, but the security beams still flickered around the edges. He stared at the ceiling, trying to slow his thoughts. He was tired, frustrated, angry, but also worried. The tall alien woman, Dr. Virel, had hesitated. She was supposed to be cold, clinical. She had poked, prodded, spoken to him like a subject. But the last time she looked at him, her eyes had softened, like she was unsure, like she was afraid of herself. Eli had always believed science was cold, logic, numbers, equations. But this place, this station, was full of feeling, whether they liked it or not. He stood and walked, to the clear wall, pressing a hand against the glass. He didn't want to die here. Back in the lab, Virel pulled up her own vitals and froze. Her body had changed. Her hormonal levels were not only unstable, they were sinking. With him. Impossible, she whispered. We don't bond with outsiders. Not like this. Her species, the Xelari, were known for their cold, emotionless structure. They paired through logic, through counsel selection, not through attraction or instinct. And yet, just being around him, it had triggered something inside her. Her fingers curled around the console edge. What if the council found out? What if they learned she had hesitated, felt something, that she hadn't already prepared him for termination? Universal breeder, she whispered. Was that why her system reacted? Why her mind kept drifting to his face? His voice? She had never felt heat before, never understood what warmth truly was. But now, her body remembered the nearness of his breath, the sound of his voice when he said her name, and the look in his eyes. He didn't just look at her. He saw her. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sharp alert. Final council confirmation needed. Subject H9 termination countdown, T-. 1 hour. She stared at the message, then made a decision. Virel stepped back into the containment chamber. The guards turned toward her but didn't stop her. She walked up to the glass. Eli stood there waiting. I guess it's time, he said quietly. Virel didn't answer. Instead, she placed her hand on the scanner. The wall hissed and slowly opened. Eli stepped back, surprised. What's going on? I'm taking you out, she said. Out where? Somewhere they can't reach you. He blinked. Why? Her voice was calm. Because you're not a danger. You're something the galaxy isn't ready to face, but needs to. He hesitated, then stepped forward. And what about you? She met his eyes. I don't know, but I want to find out. Escape or experiment? No one had ever escaped the Galactic Genetics Lab. No one had ever dared, until tonight. Eli followed Dr. Virel down a narrow corridor lit by pulsing blue lights. His bare feet padded softly against the cold metal floor, his eyes darting around. Cameras followed their every move, but Virel had already disabled most of them from her personal terminal. Still, every second they moved felt like a countdown. Where are we going? Eli whispered. To the subdeck launch pad, she replied, calmly not looking back. There's a transport ship ready for waste disposal. It can be overridden to launch without clearance. Eli blinked. So, trash route escape. Classic. She glanced over her shoulder. It works. The two of them turned a corner and stopped. A security droid hovered in the hallway. Its red sensors lit up the moment it saw them. Unauthorized. Activity detected, it said in a hollow voice. Return to containment. Virel stepped forward without fear. Override code, Xelari Alpha VT-72. The droid paused, processed, and powered down. Eli let out a shaky breath. That was close. Virel continued walking. That was nothing. The real problem is the sky. Eli frowned. Sky? They'll track your heat signature from orbit the moment we leave. We'll have 5 minutes before they realize where we're headed. Eli jogged to keep up. And if they find us? She didn't answer. 20 minutes later, they were in the waste docking bay. The place smelled like melted plastic and engine oil. The only light came from the flickering glow of the open loading hatch. Inside sat a small 2-seater ship, mostly hidden under crates and cables. Virel pushed aside debris and climbed into the pilot seat. Eli paused at the entrance. Are you sure about this? She didn't answer him directly. Instead, she said, You could stay, let them study you, you'd be famous. The galaxy would know your name. Eli looked at her. And what would happen to you? She hesitated. I'd be erased, she admitted. Not executed, just deleted from records like I was never born. Eli climbed into the ship without another word. I'm not letting that happen. The ship launched from the side vent, breaking through the waste tunnels and entering open space. The sensors screamed almost immediately. Pursuit ships incoming, Virel said. Faster than I expected. Can we outrun them? No. But we can disappear. She pressed a code. The ship blinked, and then vanished from the scanner grid. Cloaking? Eli asked. Prototype, she said. Illegal. He smirked. You're full of surprises. She didn't respond, but her fingers trembled on the controls. Not from fear, from something else. They landed hours later on a quiet jungle moon, Tessari 4, a forgotten world covered in thick forests, strange glowing insects, and lakes as smooth as mirrors. The sun never fully rose here. The sky was always a warm twilight. Virel stepped out first, scanning the area. This place is off-grid, she said. The council won't find us here, not right away. Eli followed her into the open. The air was heavy and warm. Birds called from the trees, though they didn't look like any bird he'd ever seen. Nice spot for a hiding place, he said. It wasn't meant for hiding. What then? She looked up at the sky. It was built for watching, for testing. She pointed to a small structure made of stone and metal. A research station. I built it years ago, before I joined the council. Eli followed her inside. The place was small. One room, a few machines, and a bed. Dust covered most of it. It hadn't been used in a long time. Virel sat down quietly. He watched her for a moment. Why did you really bring me here? She looked up. I wanted to observe you outside the lab. Without the machines, without fear. She paused. I thought you were just a subject, but now I feel like I'm the one being studied. Eli smiled gently. And what have you learned? Virel's voice was soft. That warmth can't be measured. that something inside me changes when you're near. She touched her arm. Her skin was glowing slightly, more than usual. Eli stepped closer. What happens now? She didn't move. That depends on what we choose. He sat beside her, and for the first time there was no test, no lab, no code, just a woman built by science, and a man who broke every rule she had known. The awakening begins. The first sign was the heat, not from the jungle, but from her. Dr. Virel had never felt warmth before, not like this. Her species, the Xelari, were born cold-blooded. Their body temperature matched their environment. Their emotions were muted, controlled, buried beneath layers of logic. But that night in the quiet shelter under Tessari's twilight sky, something shifted. She lay on the edge of the single bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. Her fingers tingled. Her heart, normally slow and quiet, beat faster than it ever had. Her skin was glowing softly again, even though no test had been run. She sat up, confused. Her breathing was uneven. Her chest felt tight. Her body aching, but not from pain. She looked over. Eli sat by the small window, sharpening a stick into a tool. He wore a simple shirt now, sleeves rolled up. His neck was bruised from the lab escape, but he was calm. Calm, Virel stood up, walked to him. "I need to ask you something," she said quietly. He turned. "Go ahead." When a human feels heat inside, but not from the weather, from someone else, what does it mean? Eli blinked. "You're feeling warm?" "Yes," she admitted, almost ashamed. "But only when I'm close to you." Eli didn't laugh. He didn't tease her. He just nodded slowly. "That's not just heat, Virel. That's a response. An emotional one." She frowned. "We don't have those. Not like you." "You do now." Later that night, her condition grew stronger. Her body temperature spiked. Her skin pulsed with waves of color, glowing blue, then pink, then golden. She stumbled near the wall, gripping a table to keep balance. Eli rushed over. "Virel, what's wrong?" "I don't know. My mind is foggy. My skin's burning, but I'm not sick." Eli gently helped her sit down. Her breath was hot against his neck. She looked up at him, panicked. "I can't think straight. My control is slipping. You're reacting to me." She blinked. "You mean this is because of you?" "Not because I'm doing anything," he said. "Because you're finally feeling something. Your body's not rejecting it, it's accepting me. That's what your species never expected." She stared at him, eyes wide. "Is this bonding?" He nodded. "It's the beginning." She didn't sleep that night. Her body changed, inside and out. Not in ways that hurt, but in ways that rewrote everything she believed. Her nerves sharpened. Her pupils dilated in low light. Her skin, once always cold, now held a soft, lasting warmth. And when Eli touched her hand to comfort her, she didn't flinch. She leaned in. Virel whispered, "Why is this happening?" "Because you're letting it happen," Eli said. "You're not a machine, Virel, you never were." She felt a sting in her throat, not pain. Tears. Liquid emotion ran from her eyes, a first in her species. "I don't understand these feelings," she said, voice trembling. "You don't have to," Eli replied. "You just need to feel them." By morning, the transformation was complete. Virel stood in front of the small mirror. Her face was the same, but different. Her eyes glowed brighter. Her expression, softer. Her shoulders relaxed. Her touch gentle. She was still Xelari, but something more. She turned to Eli. "I'm not just a scientist anymore." He smiled. "You're becoming human." She nodded. Maybe that's not a weakness after all. But before they could celebrate, a shadow passed over the station. Eli stepped outside. His eyes scanned the sky. A long, dark ship hovered just beyond the clouds, silent, sleek. Deadly. He ran back in. They found us. Virel stared at the scanner. The council. They came faster than I expected. Eli grabbed his bag. We need to run. No, Virel said softly. We need to fight. He turned to her. Her face was calm, but her new warmth had ignited something stronger inside. She was no longer afraid of what she had become. They come to take him back. The jungle went silent. Even the wind refused to move. That's when Eli knew. They weren't alone anymore. Above the thick trees of Xelari 4, a massive black ship hovered without sound. Its underbelly opened slowly, and a narrow beam of red light scanned the forest below. Eli stood in the shadows near the station door, fists clenched. Do they always arrive like ghosts? He muttered. Virel stood beside him, her new body glowing, faintly. Yes, because when they come, they expect no one to fight back. He looked at her. But this time, someone would. Inside the small shelter, Virel tapped into her hidden console, activating old defense codes from her past research days. Her fingers moved faster than they ever had. Her thoughts were sharp, but her heart, warm, racing, focused on protecting. Eli came closer. We could still run. No, she said. If they catch us again, they won't just erase the data, they'll erase us. What are they so afraid of? Virel turned slowly toward him. You. Above them, a group of armored soldiers dropped into the jungle, 6 in total. Tall, faceless, their black suits shimmered with cloaking tech. They moved like shadows scanning everything with bio-trackers. Target, human subject H9, retrieval priority, critical. Eli and Virel watched from behind a thick tree root near the station. She passed him a pulse blade. Have you ever fought before? She asked. Eli gave her a quick grin. On Earth, I once survived 3 nights with space pirates and a broken blaster. That will do. The first soldier stepped into the clearing. Eli didn't wait. He threw a flash charge, blinding the unit. As the soldier staggered, Eli tackled him to the ground and knocked the helmet loose. The soldier gasped, but Eli was already moving. 2 more appeared from behind, but Virel was ready. She raised both hands. Her glowing skin pulsed. A blast of red heat erupted from her palms, knocking the attackers into the trees. The jungle lit up in flashes of color, but they kept coming. For every soldier that fell, 2 more dropped from the sky. The last one, taller, heavier armor, walked into the field with a strange device in hand. Virel froze. The silencer, she whispered. What is it? Eli asked, breathing hard. It blocks Xelari abilities. It will strip my powers. I'll go back to nothing. Eli looked at her, sweating, blood on his cheek. Then I'll fight for both of us. He ran forward, dodging plasma shots. The silencer activated. A blue field spread like a wave, and Virel collapsed behind him, her light flickering out. But Eli kept going. He tackled the officer holding the device. They rolled through the dirt. The machine buzzed in Eli's ears. His skin burned, but he didn't stop. With a final punch, he smashed the device against a stone. The silencer shattered. Behind him, Virel's glow returned. She gasped and stood, eyes bright again. And then she screamed, not in fear, in power. Massive wave of light blasted from her body, sending every remaining soldier flying. The forest went still. Only 2 remained standing. A man and a woman who wasn't cold anymore. Virel dropped to her knees. I couldn't let them take you. Eli rushed to her side. You didn't. You saved me. She looked up at him, tears forming again. No, Eli. You saved me. She touched her chest. I was just a machine before you came. Cold. Logical. But your presence woke me up. My body changed, yes. But more than that, my soul did. Eli smiled gently and held her hand. You're not a machine. You're a miracle. Above them, the ship turned and flew away, defeated. The council wouldn't. Risk another mission, not without warning, not after what they saw, not after what she became. Her final report, the recording light blinked red. The room was silent, and Dr. Virel began to speak, not as a scientist, but as someone forever changed. This is Virel of the Xelari Science Corps, former senior biogeneticist of Sector 12. She paused. Her voice was calm, but there was something new in her eyes, something the council had never seen before. Emotion, conviction. I am submitting this report not from a lab, but from exile, because I chose not to follow the council's orders. I chose to save a life instead of ending one. She looked at the camera. Her blue skin glowed softly, her body still carrying the light she once feared. The human, Eli Carter, was listed as a Class B subject, unimportant, ordinary, but the data told another story. She tapped the console. Behind her, holograms glowed to life, genetic charts, DNA simulations, cross-species graphs, all showing one truth. Humans are not weak. They are not broken. They are fertile in every way, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Their presence triggers change not only in environments, but in us. Her voice lowered. In me. Outside, Eli stood at the edge of a glowing lake on Tisari 4, watching the sky. He held a small communicator in his hand, waiting for the last signal to go out. The jungle was peaceful again. No ships, no soldiers, just soft air and distant stars. He had been hunted, tested, almost killed. But here, he was free, and no longer alone. Virel continued speaking into the recorder. I used to believe emotions made us weak. That warmth was a danger to Xelari logic. But then I met Eli, and I felt warmth for the first time, inside my skin, inside my mind. He made me feel alive. She smiled faintly. I cried, I laughed, I broke rules I helped write, but I do not regret any of it. The recording light blinked again, final seconds. This is my final report. If the council hears it, they will hunt me, but I no longer fear them. Because I've discovered something stronger than control, stronger than code. She turned off the recorder, then turned toward the door. Later, the two of them stood together on the edge of a hill, looking over the jungle as strange fireflies danced in the air. Virel leaned against Eli, her fingers wrapped around his. You really think they'll let us go? He asked. No, she replied softly, but they'll think twice before coming again. Eli looked at her glowing eyes. What will you do now? She thought for a moment. I'll teach, she said. Tell others what I learned. About you, about what we can become together. He chuckled. You mean we'll raise alien babies across the galaxy? She looked up at him. Maybe. A pause. Then, would that bother you? Eli smiled. Not if they have your eyes. That night, the two of them lit a fire beside the lake. No scanners, no beeping machines. Just stars above and the soft sound of waves. Virel watched the flames dance. She reached into her pouch and pulled out a small crystal. A Xelari bond token, once used only in arranged pairings. She held it out. To my people, she said, this is given only when one wishes to share more than just time, but purpose. Eli took the crystal slowly. What does that mean in human terms? It means, she whispered, I choose you. Eli didn't answer with words. He leaned forward and kissed her softly, the firelight reflecting between their faces. When they pulled back, he said, then I choose you too. Somewhere deep in the galaxy, a council meeting was called. Reports had come in. A Xelari scientist had vanished. A human had escaped. And strange, unexplainable changes were happening in outposts where humans were placed near other species. The council tried to hide the truth, but it was too late. The spark had already spread, and it all began with one human man and one curious alien woman in a cold, sterile lab.